The Light and Fast Organization, A New Way of Dealing with Uncertainty by Patrick Hollingworth Book Review. Hello friends, today I am going to review the book, The Light and Fast Organization, A New Way of Dealing with Uncertainty by Patrick Hollingworth. Nordwind. Nordwind, German for North Face, is a 2-kilometer vertical rock and ice stretch of Switzerland's Eiger Mountain, which is famous for its inaccessibility and for the high death toll among those who attempt to climb it. At least 64 people have died on the Nordwind. In 1938, a group of 4 young men from Austria and Germany became the first climbers to reach the summit. It took them 96 hours. They came close to death, but prevailed. We see these commercial expeditions and organizations starting to break down. Strategy, planning and fixed infrastructure no longer work. In 2008, Swiss alpinist Welly Steck embarked on a solo climb of the Nordwind. Dressed warmly but lightly and equipped with only the most essential technical equipment, a rope and a pair of ice axes, Steck applied a new technique: climb light and fast, and adapt quickly to the mountain's challenges. He ascended the Eiger in less than 3 hours by applying the strategy of extreme alpinism. The Nordwind stands as a metaphor of today's business world, which is beset with avalanches, falling rocks and nasty storms. Steck's alpinist approach can transform businesses and how they deal with volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. VUCA. The VUCA world. Many people use the term VUCA to describe the changing world of business. Familiarize yourself with each of its 4 components. Volatility stems from the Latin word volatilus, to fly away. People refer to fluctuations in the stock market or significant changes in the political landscape in terms of volatility. Uncertainty describes something unknown or unreliable. Certus in Latin means to sift, discern or decide. Its negative form means the inability to make a decision. Complexity comes from the Latin word complexus, which means totality. You perceive events as complex when they have many aspects that interact to form the totality of parts. Ambiguity describes situations that have more than one meaning and, because of this multiplicity, have an unclear outcome. The term ambiguë in Latin means to be undecided. If you ask what the effect artificial intelligence and increased automation will have on job profiles and employment levels 10 years from today, the answer will be ambiguous. Alpine style is intrinsically motivated, focusing on the task at hand. The reward is learning from the journey as a whole, rather than just the moment of attaining the goal. Use VUCA as a tool to examine change around you. Accept that change is actually happening. Most people do not like change, and they prefer for it to happen to everyone but them. Being honest about your feelings toward change will help you accept it. Acknowledge that the rate of change is accelerating. Moore's law describes the doubling of computing power about every 24 months. Acknowledge that exponential growth affects you and your working life. If expedition style is about meeting and climbing the mountain on the climber's terms, then alpine style is about meeting and climbing the mountain on its own terms. Understand the nature of change. The old world. Regardless of the forthcoming storm, we have a choice as to how we tackle the climb ahead. Change is constant. Look at your company critically and ask if some of its organizational design might be outdated. Kodak, Nokia, Dell and Blockbuster once thrived due to their magnitude and influence. But these factors also made them heavy and slow, the exact opposite of what's needed in today's business environment. If your organization is overcomplicated and obsessed with goals, consider how technology organizations deal with the unknown and the unforeseen. Don't educate your people with old-world leadership training based on empowerment, leadership style, and high-performance teams. Seek out newer, fresher ideas to develop the people in your organization. The state of engagement. Mark Bolland, CEO of Marks & Spencer, recognizes the importance of moving from a traditional organization with vertical hierarchies and fixed reporting lines toward being an organization based on innovation and engagement. The British retailer encourages senior staffers to spend time with New World businesses, such as Apple, Airbnb and Uber, to try new approaches, and to lead without asking for permission. He asks leaders only to admit to failure and learn from mistakes. In a world of volatility and uncertainty, where unexpected and violent things happen, we will all be increasingly exposed to these events and tested, time and time again. Shift your focus from your offerings toward the community of human beings who form your organization. Many companies put profits first and people last, but this leads to discouraging levels of disengagement. Gallup, a public research institute, has studied employee engagement in various parts of the world since 2012. We are again immigrants in time, as our perfect storm is reshaping society, business, and institutional thinking. It has found that about half of the U.S. workforce is disengaged. The typical disengaged worker is physically present, but mentally absent. Facing VUCA, a disengaged worker tends to ignore change and avoid seeking solutions. An actively disengaged person might even carry out destructive behaviors. It takes an engaged workforce to deal successfully with VUCA. Expedition-style mountaineering. Expedition-style mountaineering started in the Himalayas, where the 8,000-meter, 26,247-foot peaks are particularly challenging to climb due to their daunting geography, thin air, and low temperatures. After World War II, climbers sought new challenges, and from 1950 to 1964, expedition groups from different nations managed to climb all 14 8,000ers, including Mount Everest. The majority of organizations today are operating with a static and outdated design and structure. Those expeditions involved a few hundred people and vast amounts of equipment and oxygen that local Sherpa guides would carry. It took several months of pre-stocking multiple camps and fixing ropes to lead climbers up and down. Now, more than 90% of the climbs in the Nepalese Himalayas involve commercial expedition-style climbing excursions. Rather than trying to manage change in the workplace, you and your organization need to move with the change. In May 1996, 13 climbers died during commercial Mount Everest expeditions in the world's most infamous mountaineering disaster. The media gave these events a lot of attention, and numerous books and films describe how the disaster unfolded. These tragedies can demonstrate to your organization that rigid structure and a desire to control the environment, in combination with a dependence on infrastructure, make you fragile, not invulnerable. The traditional expedition-style approach to climbing a mountain is as outdated as the traditional, linear, hierarchical structure of the organization. Many traditional organizations use a linear, hierarchical structure, which is rigid and inflexible. These fragile organizations break easily and risk falling apart over time, especially in the face of change. To prepare for the onslaught of VUCA and the appearance of black swans, change your organization to the opposite of fragile. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, describing the tendency of things to get better after being exposed to chaos, calls this state antifragile. Antifragile firms benefit from shock and disorder. People in these organizations come to love volatility and uncertainty. Alpine style. Alpinists Athol Wimp of New Zealand and Andrew Lindblade of Australia seek uncertainty and ambiguity to fuel a different mountaineering approach. These world-leading alpinists have climbed high peaks in the Indian and Nepalese Himalayas, including the north face of Janu Mountain. Their climbing follows no rigid structure and deals with the VUCA environment as it happens. Make a plan, go for it. Then, when the circumstances change, make a new plan, and go for that. By putting yourself out there, making mistakes and being open about those mistakes, beautiful and powerful things happen. This Alpine-style ethos is about letting go of your inborn need to control and, instead, to respond to changes in the environment. In Alpine style, you set out with only a small pack of equipment you can carry yourself, without Sherpas. Thus you travel light and fast. Alpine-style climbers build critical skills in accordance with the 10,000-hour rule, as Malcolm Gladwell discussed in his book Outliers. By practicing techniques for 10,000 hours or more, you build up exceptional abilities, such as the highly skilled way Alpine-style climbers use ropes and other tools. When you climb Alpine style, your motivation springs from within and you focus on the tasks ahead as they unfold. This is very different from climbing in a commercial expedition, where your sole goal is to reach the summit. Goal-Odyssey can make you vulnerable when circumstances change, as happened in the 1996 Mount Everest tragedies. The transformation model. Consider how you can apply the climbing analogy to your organization. Some companies already employ Alpine-style approaches to business. Team building should still be about getting people to get along, but also, it should be about enabling us to question each other on our assumptions and beliefs. No matter what product or service you provide, your company can develop into an Alpine-style organization using the transformation model, which unfolds in 5 stages. Unaware. At the start, you're unaware of what's around you, like a tourist passing through a foreign nation. You don't recognize that people speak a different language. Reactive. You focus only on yourself and how the world affects you. If anything goes wrong, you blame the external environment. Other people did a bad job. Dependent. Despite your self-focus, you recognize that others can help you achieve the goals you seek. This describes a mountaineer joining a commercial Himalaya expedition or an employee in a traditional, linear, hierarchical organization. Independent, you develop self-reliance and responsibility, and understand you must adapt to the world to be successful. Steck, who climbed Eiger's Nordwind alone, illustrates this stage. Interdependent, your focus shifts toward collaboration. Your attention is in and out. You work with others to achieve personal and team goals, as Wimp and Lindblad did when they ascended Janu's north face with alpine-style mountaineering. The Nordwind is a powerful metaphor for the world we are living in today. This profound transformation from unaware, reactive or dependent, to independent and interdependent, is not a superficial makeover. Simply changing your office layout to an open plan with bright lounge areas and a fancy coffee maker won't do the trick. You need to go deeper to transform into a true Alpine-style organization. The Alpine-style model. Sense-making is an essential skill in the Alpine-style model. The process of sense-making demands that you consciously look, see, imagine, show and act. You harness your emotional intelligence and your subconscious thinking as components of how you make decisions. Gaining insight from neuroscience findings about how the human brain works can prevent you from falling into Go-Lotus mode and help you activate your brain to engage in slow thinking. Always be alert for the expedition-style organization wearing alpinists' clothing. To pave the way toward open, healthy team discussions, question old assumptions and beliefs by getting critical. See if you really understand your strengths and weaknesses. By gaining awareness of them, you acknowledge your imperfections, an insight that helps you strengthen teamwork in your organization. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Pay attention to risk attitude, so you perceive risk as an opportunity rather than as a negative construct. Risk depends on individual perception. Different people see risk in different ways. Risk is not the same as danger, because a situation is either dangerous or not. Differentiating between risk and danger helps you recognize the upside potential of VUCA. Takeaways. Light and fast describes a mountaineering style that quickly adapts to a changing environment. Mountaineers, alpine style, can inspire the way you deal with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. VUCA. Most people don't like change and prefer it to happen to anyone but them. Large organizations obsess about goals and make their processes too complex. They are heavy and slow. New world businesses obsess over people and try new approaches. They embrace light and fast strategies. The Alpine style model is an ethos that calls for letting go of your need to control. Respond to changes as they occur. Create a community of human beings in which people come before profit. Antifragile organizations benefit from shock and disorder. Transform your business from unaware to independent or interdependent. Sense-making, harnessing your awareness, is an essential Alpine skill. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.